Hey everyone, it's Thursday, March 16th, 2017, and it's time to go to work on music. Uh, Today's been perfect so far, right in the groove on the time front, which is really encouraging. I think I'm getting a lot of good takeaways this week about how to keep that on point, so I'm very happy about that. Today's going to be kind of a bizarre day on the music front because I have this business commitment just stuck right in the middle of my practice session today, and I could have avoided it. I'm realizing in retrospect that I probably shouldn't have taken on this responsibility right now without being too specific, but I think it does go a long way toward building my relationship with some important people in the company, and that's valuable to me. And also, I've given my word to uphold a certain level of quality in that line of work, and I take that very seriously. So sometimes that means compromising other places. Now, would I do it again? Probably not. I'd probably just, open up to these guys and be who are like, let's make this happen, and be like, look, just the opportunity cost of this is too big. But you live and you learn. So a few months. I think I made this commitment like 4 or 5 months ago. So it's kind of like, it was almost like I was in a totally different place then. So I'm just gonna, I'm gonna keep my word and make it happen, and I'm not gonna skip out on it, and I'm just gonna get it done. And then, so the first part of today's session is gonna be kind of short, and then I'm gonna do my best to get a couple hours in later. But this meeting's gonna be really uh, intellectually draining. I think like we're solving a lot of big time problems, so I just don't know how much gas I'm gonna have in the tank. I'll figure something out. But I might just take a lighter day today and then make up for it over the next couple days, just because I don't want to, I don't want to compromise myself physically from pushing myself too hard. So anyway, that's probably way more than I should even share on a vlog, and probably no one cares about this. But the whole point of this vlog is to talk about, to like get really real about what it's like being an artist and making this happen. Uh, you know, how that really manifests, and just my story, and that stuff is a huge part of it. So for my sake, I want to include that stuff, and if you guys want to skip over it, like, it's all good. I understand. So anyway, that's what I'm up against today, but I'm just going to embrace it and make the most of it, and these are great opportunities that I have to have an impact in places maybe beyond the musical spectrum, which is really cool, and I enjoy that. So today's going to be a drum day. We're going to hit some online classes. We're going to work on some four-way coordination, and then we're going to move forward on the production front. I listened back to those. I realized I didn't do a end thing on the vlog yesterday, but I listened back to those bass lines, and they're pretty dope. I mean, it's hard to know if they're perfect, so what I'm going to do is throw some processing on them and try to make it sound the way that I want it to sound, and then I'm going to evaluate it there. I think the performance is probably good enough, but I'm not sure if I should retrack it or if I really need to change anything, and sometimes I don't get clarity on that until it's like really sitting in the mix how it's supposed to. So I'm gonna experiment with that. If it turns out it sucks or it's not perfect, then I'll just redo it, which I'm not happy about, but like whatever it takes. And I'll let you guys know what happens with that. But let's just get into it now. Here we go. All right, some interesting work on dynamic compression, what it is, how it works, what the different parameters are, threshold, ratio, and attack and release times. If you don't know about dynamic compression, and you just want to play music, like it's probably not that big a deal, but compression is a big part of signal chains for any electronic instrument these days. Not any electronic instrument, but many or most. So it's probably worth doing some research on that versus me explaining it. But the basics of it are like, I would need to write stuff down to really explain it, so I'll probably hold off on that. But the super essentials of it are like, you have a waveform that has peaks and valleys, and if you want the softer stuff to become louder and the louder stuff to become quieter relative to itself, then that's what dynamic compression helps you to do. The threshold is basically the loudness at which you'll start compressing the waveform. The ratio is how hard you compress it once you do compress it, like you can compress it a little bit or you can compress it a lot once it crosses the threshold. And then the attack release times is how quickly your compressor engages once the waveform crosses the threshold, and then how quickly it lets up once the waveform drops below the threshold. So all of that has a profound impact on the sounds that's worth exploring and definitely goes beyond the scope of a vlog. I would have to do like probably a whole 20 or 30 minute video on that, but if you guys are interested in that, I'm happy to do it, but I'm not just going to go off right now. But yeah, I mean, you can't know too much about that stuff, like I always say, so just hitting the basics hard for myself and then doing some Rush research. You know, really interesting. I think one of the most interesting things is how profoundly influential that band has been, and also how polarizing they are. Just how diehard their fan base really is, and then how much people dislike them if they don't like them. And I thought it was interesting that the article called Rush fans like the Trekkies of the rock and roll world, which I think is hilarious and probably true. But anyway, I'm gonna get into some drum stuff. I'm really bummed that this practice session is being broken up the way that it is. It's just not ideal, but you know, I brought it on myself, so live and learn. So let me get into this, and we'll pick up a little later. Alright guys, almost can't believe I'm obsessive enough to keep working on music after what I just put myself through at that meeting, but oh man, it was rough guys. It was super, super rough. Can't believe it. But I'm back and I was sticking to the schedule no matter what. So I'm going to do a little bit of four-way coordination. That book and those exercises are really tough on my brain, so I'm not sure how this... And just like that, the camera died. So switching over to a new camera. I'm not sure how that's going to go, but I'm just going to do it because, you know, don't think about it, just get it done. And then I'm going to take a super short break and then start working on doing a little bit of processing on some of the bass lines I tracked. Like I said earlier in the video, just trying to get those sounding good so I can evaluate how they sit and whether or not I want to retrack those before I move on. So let's just get into it. This is going to be a little extreme, but it's going to be awesome. Alright, so I actually did go through an exercise there, and then the camera wasn't recording, so... basically I'm working through this book called Four-Way Coordination right now, and it's a really tough book, but it's just a really good challenge, I think. This is what it looks like, and it's like a Bible of drumming. Got it from my dad back in the day, and yeah, I've just been wanting to work through it for a really long time. It's kind of brutal though. I'm on page 5, and I'm like 4 years into it, but that's because I keep starting and stopping, but I'm hopeful. You know, I'm just going to keep banging away at it, and maybe it's a lifelong thing. But one day it's going to be there, guys. So let me hit this this bass line, and we'll see what's up. Alright, tough session. Not gonna lie, today was a tough day. And I learned my lesson, you know. I'm never gonna do that again, or at least I'm gonna promise myself that I'll do everything in my power to never let that happen again. I think the problem was, first of all, committing to do it in the first place, even though I knew it probably wasn't the right thing, but second of all, scheduling it during music time. That can't happen, man. Interrupting that flow, it just doesn't work. You know, if I could get the music stuff out of the way early and then go do that stuff, fine, but I really just want to avoid that at all costs as much as I possibly can, because it's just sucks. It's just rough, like getting out of the zone, getting back in the zone. It's just difficult. And then working this late on music is not good because I'm tired. Like it's after 11 now, and you know, I'm just at a different point in the day and my, you know, hormonal, psychological, circadian rhythms. I mean, so that fatigue, I mean, I just don't know if that's helping the cause. So anyway, I'm still glad I stuck to my schedule and got work done. That bass line sounded pretty good, but the take I thought was the really best one. I don't know if it is. I mean, I think in terms of part writing, it's really good, but in terms of the vibe, it doesn't necessarily have what this other take has. So I may end up retracking it because the one I have now isn't like perfectly amazing, but it's pretty good. So I might just leave it for now, move on, and then maybe retrack it down the line if I feel that that's warranted. but yeah, overall, really good day. Just a difficult day, and I'm glad I persevered and got work done. So I hope you guys are out there grinding towards your goals. I hope this vlog's bringing you some value, man, some inspiration or some knowledge or both, or just knowing you're not alone out there, like in the struggle to really make great things happen in your life, whether it be in music or not. And and I just hope you guys are out there, you know, one step closer today to where you want to be than where you were when you woke up this morning. And I know I am. It doesn't always feel that way, but it's true. And you know, one day I'll wake up and it'll be there. So till that day, more of the same, and I'll see you guys for more tomorrow.